Hello and welcome to another Mosaic Minute. I want to say thank you for joining us today. We have such a fun and very technical conversation to have today. So, because it is so technical and so statistical, I brought the brains in for today's conversation. Jessica Fuller, who's been with Mosaic for several years now, has brought something so amazing to the HR profession. And so when her and I started working together, I feel like it's been about 5 years now, Jessica. Am I making that? Okay, 5 years ago. What was a lot of fun is to watch her continue to add to not only our culture, but to our HR practices. And so I would say about 2 years ago, she said, you know what, Kristen, we continuously, talk about how we have pay equity, which I feel and know, but how can we prove it? How can we show our team and know 100% that through correlations, novas, these are words I've all learned from Jessica, that we know 100% that we have pay equity. And then even better, how do we bring this out to our clients and to others in this industry so that you can say the same thing? So today I have our Director of People and Culture, Jessica Fuller, with us today to talk about pay equity. So, and we know the importance, and she'll talk about why it's important to her in a second. We know why it's important, but how? How do you actually take the data that you have around your pay practices and look through all that data and know that within 100% that you have true pay equity in your organization? So she's going to talk about that today. I am so excited to hear this topic and to hear her explain it. We do have some slides too that she's going to share because again, there is a technical aspect to this or mathematical aspect to this. So before we get started, Jessica, why are you so passionate about this topic?
Good morning. Thank you guys for having me today. I'm excited to be here. So I'm just very passionate about building a fair and equitable workforce here at Mosaic and beyond Mosaic too. I think this is something that touches every person in our world. We all know DE&I metrics, including equity, are really hard to measure. And we've had a lot of new regulations in the past several years, especially that relate to pay equity, but I don't honestly feel like they go far enough. There are new laws around pay reporting in California, putting salary bands on job descriptions. They help for sure, but we're still seeing that we're falling behind. So currently, women in the United States make 84 cents for every dollar that men make. And while this has increased in the past few years, it's only pennies on the dollar from where we were 20 years ago. And I think we can do better. And once you look at the disparity between other races, it gets even more and more spread out. Latinas make 55 cents for every dollar. Black women, 64 cents. Native American women are 59 cents. And that's just per year and per dollar. But when you're looking at it over a career, women on average, that's over $400,000 less that they're earning. That's a house. And that's a significant piece of income that we are losing through pay equity. And I think our people deserve better at Mosaic and everywhere. And I feel like we have an opportunity here to break the cycle and to make a difference for our people in our community.
I love this. And Mosaic is a women-owned business certified as well. And not only in ownership, but also in leading, which is so wonderful. So I know that this is important to a lot of our hearts. I love the passion Jessica brings to the organization. And again, it's not just the words, it's physically the how. And what I love is that she also looks at this and tries to think outside the box, right? And has again brought the how do we bring this into Mosaic and how do we share it? So Jessica, what is your approach in doing this differently?
Yeah, so I love being able to combine business and science. So in my undergrad and graduate degrees, they were very heavily focused on research, and everything research involves data. You can't have anything in research without data. And I've always felt like that's something missing in business. And I want to bring more business into data, especially into HR, so that we can make decisions on it. I think statistics are often underutilized, and I think they are a very, very powerful tool that we can use to influence our business today and in the future. But I also think statistics have a bad rap, right? They are, no one fully understands them, right? Like it is a very hard thing to wrap your head around. So I want to demystify statistics and talk about how we can bring that into business. And in this case, through the lens of pay equity.
I love it. Okay, so this two things. One, if you have questions as we're going, I will grab those questions and integrate it into our discussion today. So please feel free to use that chat option. And we do have some slides that I want to share. So I'm going to ask Jessica to share a little bit more about statistics and like how we take this approach and how we look at it. And then she's going to bring it all the way back to how can you do this today in your organization. So I have some slides to share that Jessica's going to walk through. There we go.
Awesome. Perfect. So on this slide here, I want to start with just an overall bell curve. So a bell curve is used to describe a lot of things, especially around human behavior. So in this simple bell curve here, we are looking at IQ score and percentage of population. So on the bottom axis, the horizontal axis is where you have your IQ score. So on the left would be the very smallest, the lowest IQ score possible, all the way up to the highest IQ score possible. And then where that curve goes up in the middle, that means there's the most population with that IQ score. So in this example, pretty much most people are falling towards the middle. The further you get out towards the perimeter, the fewer people that there are who have those either extremely high or extremely low IQ scores. And then, so what we can do is we can then take this and we can segment our data based on it. So we could look at IQ scores in different locations. We could look at IQ scores from different colleges. We could look at it in a number of different ways. And today I want to do something a little bit more fun. We'll talk about IQ scores and ice cream preferences. So I'm going to flip on over to our next slide here and talk through how we can almost layer bell curves to see if there's a difference. So in this example on this slide here, we're looking at, is there a significant difference between the IQs of people who prefer chocolate, vanilla, or strawberry ice cream? So hypothetically, there could be these three different bell curves here, and you can see that they are all a little bit different and they're not in the same place. But is that difference meaningful? And that's what we're going to look to statistics to understand, is whether that difference is just due to chance, just due to population size, due to some other factor, or whether there is actually a difference between that data. So I'm going to flip on from here. This has a lot of data on it here. So I'm going to talk you through it one step at a time. So this is called an ANOVA. And so when we run an ANOVA, this is called an analysis of variance. It can be run in Excel, so nothing crazy here. I'll talk through how to do that more later in a later slide. So what we're doing is when you are running this ANOVA, you are looking to see if different means of different populations are statistically significant from each other. So once you plug in all of your data and run it in Excel, you're going to get an output that looks exactly like this. So in this example, we're looking at that same hypothesis again. Is there a difference between IQs of people who prefer chocolate, vanilla, and strawberry ice cream? So at the top here, you have what we call descriptive statistics. So in the groups, you see your three different groups. Next to that, you have your count of the number of data values in each group. Next to that, you have the sum, which is if you total them all up, and then the average of each IQ within that group. And then in the last column up there, you have your variance. And the variance is looking at how spread out those groups are. And then on the bottom part here is really the meat of it. So in this summary, in this section down here at the bottom, on the left, you see some data about variation. So what this is telling you is that there could be variation between groups, which is what we're looking for in this situation. But there's also variation within each group too that could impact your findings. So this area sums it up a bit more, but for the purposes of this presentation, I'm going to skip over that and go to the F statistic. So the F statistic shows the amount of variation between the means of your population. And this ties heavily to the F critical value, which you see on the right at the bottom there. So the F critical value is used for comparison to your F value. So if your calculated F value is larger than your F critical value, that means you have statistical significance between the groups that you're comparing. Also, the most important part of this is your p-value. That's that 0.00021 in the middle there. So the p-value takes all of this other information to tell you whether the results are statistically significant or if the variation is solely due to chance. When interpreting a p-value, think of it as a percent. the common cutoff is 5%. So if the variability between your groups is less than 5% likely to be due purely to chance, the data is statistically significant. So to put this another way, if your p-value is less than 0.05, your populations are statistically different. So I want to go back up to the kind of the top, and now we're going to talk about what this means in this ice cream example. So you can see that for each group, chocolate, vanilla, and strawberry ice cream, we had 40 pieces of data. When you added them all up and created the average, you could see that chocolate had the highest IQ and vanilla had the lowest IQ. And then from that variance column, you can also see that the widest spread of IQs was within the vanilla ice cream category. So since you have those pieces of data, this is when we really lean on an ANOVA to tell us if that's actually the case. Like, are those numbers different enough that it makes a difference? So then what we're seeing at the bottom here, skipping right to the F and the F critical value, you can see that F is so much higher than that F critical value, which tells you we have statistical significance here. And especially since those numbers are so far apart too. And then when you look at the p-value, which again is the most important part for the purposes of this, you can see that is 0.0002. That is 0.02%. So what this is telling us is that the likelihood in this situation that the people who prefer chocolate ice cream have a higher IQ than people who prefer vanilla ice cream, the likelihood that that is due to chance is less than 0.02%. So that's telling us that in this situation, we can say that people who prefer chocolate ice cream generally do have a higher IQ.
I'll tell you, Jessica, next time somebody asks me what my favorite flavor of ice cream is, I may think twice and just answer chocolate. Although, right. So why I think this is so interesting is, and I know we're about to bring this all the way back into pay equity, but the physical practice she is speaking of and how she looks at this is even more expandable. So for instance, when we look at our employee engagement scores and how it relates back to team turnover / retention. There we go. Part of the question is even, okay, is there a statistical correlation between our employee retention efforts and our engagement scores? And it's been really exciting and fun to see the tie between those. And so this expands even past pay equity and is applicable to many different aspects of how you look at your business and how you take that information back to your leaders, right? And physically can move it forward because it's not just a gut feeling anymore, right? It's statistically proven. And so let's take that all the way back. Love the ice cream example. How does it relate to pay equity?
Absolutely. So on this slide here, here are some p-values from some of our real data when I had first run this on our salary bands here at Mosaic. And I was asking the hypothesis of, is there a significant difference between the salaries of people across genders and race? So these are those p-values for gender and race for a handful of our salary bands. And I could see that when I looked at this, I had two areas of concern. Salary band 3 and salary band 6 both fall under 0.05%. So that's telling me I have a statistically significant difference there between the salaries of women and the salaries of men, and it's likely to not be due to chance. So I knew I had some work to do. So I was able to dig into these salary bands and take a look at what was happening within them. And then from there, I was able to bring this back to our executive team along with my recommendation to fix. And the first question they had for me was, how much does it take to fix this? Because they could see that this was a problem. I had the data to support it, and it allowed me to have that conversation. So with that, I was able to fix it. We were able to remedy it. And now I can sit here and confidently say that we don't have any pay difference at Mosaic between race and gender. And I feel like that is a very cool thing to be able to say, and knowing that I have the data to back me up on it.
I love it. So I love the different aspects that you have brought and being able to show that. And of course, again, if you guys have questions for Jessica or for myself, feel free to stick them into the chat there. So how do you actually take this back to the team? We talked about in that example, you took it back to an executive team, how you were able to move forward with fixing it. And it was a very, I'm going to call it a quick fix because it was obviously shown. And of course, based off of the culture, yes, absolutely, let's fix that. How did you share that back with the team?
Yeah, so a couple of years ago, I had the opportunity to present this to the team at Tesory, which is our annual employee conference. And that was an amazing experience because I got to tell the team what we did, I got to tell them why we did it, and I got to tell them the results of it too. And I didn't hide the warts, right? I told them that we had those two areas. I told them that we fixed it. And I think that has helped us build so much credibility within the HR and people and culture team here at Mosaic for our team to know that we're doing the right thing for them, and that we have an eye on these things, and that it's something we are not hiding under the rug if there is a problem, and that we are making a difference to fix it every day. So I think they really did appreciate the action and the transparency around it. I think this also ties into Great Places to Work. We're a Great Places to Work certified company. We have been for a few years. And one of the top scores that we always see on our survey, I think ties right into this. People are treated fairly regardless of their race. People are treated fairly regardless of their gender. People are treated fairly regardless of their sexual orientation. And it's amazing to see those survey after survey within our top 5 questions, because that shows me that this is making a difference for our team and for our business overall.
I love that. So, and how can our viewers actually bring this back to their business? I'm sold. How do I do it, Jessica?
Absolutely, absolutely. So you can do this all within Excel, and it is not that scary. So there is a data analysis package under the data tab. You may not have it, but that's okay. It's just a free add-on. You can just click into the add-ons, add it in. It'll be there in 2 minutes, and then you'll be able to run your ANOVAs from there. So once you pull it up, you'll have your data, and you'll have to format that in a certain way for the ANOVA to take it. But that's really the hardest part, is formatting your data, and then from there, you'll select single factor ANOVA, and then you'll run it twice, one for each salary band for race, and then another one for each salary band for gender. So the first time you'll do it, it'll probably take a few hours, but then every year after that is easy to replicate. So now I can run this for our entire organization in under an hour and know exactly where we stand year after year. So it makes it so easy within Excel to be able to have this data and to understand what it means right at your fingertips.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. And of course, if there's a viewer out there that says, wow, that sounds fantastic, and maybe we need some help with this, that is also an area that Mosaic can help dig in. We do have a passion for helping organizations become a great place to work. And this is a part of it. That trust factor is absolutely everything when looking at how am I a great place to work and how am I attracting the best talent. Right. So thank you so much. Again, if you have any questions for either one of us, please feel free to reach out. You can also go through the contact us through Mosaic's website as well. This presentation will be available. So if you want to go back and re-listen to Jessica and take some notes or think about how you can bring this back into your organization, again, feel free to rewatch and as well as reach out if you do have questions. So thank you for your time today. We look forward to seeing you again for another Mosaic Minute in 2 weeks. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.